adverse childhood experiences. Mentally abusing them, physically abusing them, sexually abusing them.
Adverse childhood experiences. We got the unpredictable stresses that children go through, like losing mommy or daddy, or watching them go to jail, forced to grow up because they've been touched down there. They even see parents depressed with no time to spare. This is why the kids are lonely, traumatized. That's why ACEs matter.
So have you heard about these things called ACEs?
I mean, I think I heard of them, something about adverse childhood experiences. Why you ask me that?
Yeah, that is what ACEs stands for. And I was reading this research from the CDC. And like you said, adverse childhood experiences, you basically take these 10 questions and it's going to give you a score 0 through 10. What was fascinating about this research was they said if you score a 5 or more, they be saying you're a risk to society.
So what you're saying is both me and my sons are a risk to society? They build prisons in preparation for people with these untreated ACEs, don't they?
Yeah, basically. Unless, of course, they go untreated and you catch them early. But that ain't it. You know what else the CDC said?
What?
The CDC said that diabetes, obesity, cancer, heart disease, and stroke are all associated with these things called adverse childhood experiences, aka ACEs.
Stop. So what you're saying is, if the streets don't kill me, the diseases resulting from these ACEs will? The diseases resulting from these ACEs will? What about alcoholism? I got a couple of people that's been messed up on alcoholism in my family. A couple of them done died.
That's in there too, but I'm just talking about the top 5. We ain't even got to the tip of the iceberg. Check this out. You know what else they said?
What?
They said 1 in every 6 people have at least a score of 4 or higher.
1 in every 6 people have at least a score of 4 or higher.
So what you're saying is, at least one person on this call right now should have been incarcerated or at risk for early death because of these untreated ACEs?
Basically.
Hello. Thank you for joining us for another episode of ACEs Matter Live. My name is Michael, and I'm your reacher for today, and I am the founder of ER for Traumatized Children. But on the second and fourth Friday, I hold a 30-minute conversation about adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs for short. Now, we like to call ourselves reachers and not hosts because we reach people. We talk to people about ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences. But what we do on the show is we interview lived experience survivors and subject matter experts on the topics related to childhood adversities and adult mental health. And as reachers, we use our social media platform to educate you about ACEs. Now, I cannot go any farther without giving you our disclaimer. As a reminder, this show is for educational purposes only. And some of the content or the material might be triggering to some adults. please, please, please consult a medical professional if you need immediate assistance. And I can't go on any farther without telling you about ACEs. Somebody here today may be wondering, what is ACEs? Maybe you never heard of ACEs before, because I talked to a lot of people about ACEs, and many of them have never heard of ACEs. So what is ACEs? First of all, ACEs is not just something that we came up with. ACEs is recognized by the mental health professionals worldwide. ACEs is negative childhood experiences that children go through before the age of 18 that affects them mentally and physically. And if not healed before age 18, it will be carried over into adulthood, and it will continue to affect them mentally and physically. Well, somebody may be on the line today that never heard of ACEs Matter Live. What is ACEs Matter? ACEs Matter is a charitable fundraising services for promoting research and education for those affected by childhood trauma or adversities. ACEs Matter is on a mission to have every home, every community talking and doing something about ACEs. Now, many of you know that I'm a preacher, so I cannot go on without bringing us some encouraging words from the Lord. And so today, I want you to remember that whatever you're going through, God can bring you out of it. And especially the ones that has grown up in ACEs, and you have believed the things that people have told you and done to you. This word is for you today. The scripture that we're coming from is the scripture that we stand on ACEs Matter Live. Romans 12 and verse 2. And it says, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and prove what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. In other words, the scripture is saying, don't be conformed to this world. Don't be conformed to the things that people have told you who you are. As children, many times our adults in our life and people in your life has told you that you will never be something. They have told you that you will be just like somebody. Maybe you have heard that you're going to be just like your daddy, just like your mama. But the scripture is telling us, be ye not conformed to the patterns of this world. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you today is, don't become who somebody has told you you are. Don't become the person that they have labeled you to be. Proverbs 23 and verse 7 says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So as that person continue to tell you who you are, your mind will start saying, well, that's who I am. And your mind only knows what you put in it or what somebody else puts in it. So you become who they tell you are. You become the labels that they put on you. But what I want to encourage you today, do not go another day as being a person that somebody else told you were. I need you today to start renewing your mind and become the person that God created you to be. See, for many years, I was the person that I was labeled to be as a child. I was the person that was told that I would never be anything. I was the person that was told or labeled that I was nobody. So it took me renewing my mind and remembering and learning who God says I am. God told me that I am somebody, that I am worthy, that I am smart. And once I started renewing my mind and put out those negative thoughts of who somebody labeled me as to be, and I started becoming who God created me to be, that's why now I can stand before you and preach the word. That's why now I can come on a webinar and teach ACEs, because God has renewed my mind. And I am no longer the person that people put labels on as I was a child. I am the person that God created me to be. And I hope that word helped somebody today become who God created you to be and not who people labeled you to be. Now we're down to the part of the show that I know you've been waiting on, and the part of the show that I've been waiting on today, because I want to drop this one little nugget just to keep you watching today. We got a special show today. Just hold on. You want to see what I'm talking about. But today's topic is, I survived an emotional abusive childhood. That's my topic for today. I dropped it right there. Just let that sink in for a minute. I survived. Just that. I survived an emotionally abusive childhood. Because I know many people have survived an emotionally abusive childhood. But man, the side effects. Yes, you may have survived. You may have lived through it. But the side effects that comes from it, especially if you're not healed as a child like I was. It took me way into an adult before I healed myself. And the side effects of it, some of them ravaged me, and I didn't even know for years what was going on. But just some of the side effects are health issues. And I've had many health issues. And just to drop one, I have an autoimmune disease, and that is linked to adverse childhood experiences. Low self-esteem. I was there for many years. I thought I was nobody. I thought I was worthy. Thought I was not worth living at the time in my life. I wasn't worth having anything. I wasn't even worth of God's love for me. That's how low I was. Another one is low hope in life. I didn't have any hope. I was just living day to day. That's as far as I can see. When I got up that morning, it was just, I'm here. There was time in my life where I didn't know. There was a time in my life that suicidal thoughts was there. I had no hope in life. And the last one is becoming addictive. And becoming addictive, the drive, and I'm going to read this. The drive to accomplish a goal often keeps us away from alcohol or drugs. Again, if you look at the simple fact that hunger will look for food, that if somebody's hungry, they're going to look for food. But while depressed, we'll look for addictive substances to keep themselves away from reality. In other words, you need something that take your mind off of what's going on in your life. That's why we get addicted to drugs and alcohol. You take them away from their reality. They need something to overcome the pain in life. And I was even there myself. But thank God I didn't get so addicted that I wasn't able to come back. And we have a very, very important show today. Some heavy, maybe triggering things today. And I just want to say before I introduce my guest, I want to tell anybody that's watching once again that if anything today triggers you, please call your physician, your doctor. And if it gets too emotional to you, maybe you need to turn off. I'm not going to drop that right there. Maybe you need to turn off because today it's going to be a really deep show. And for our guest today, we're going to go on and get her in here. Our guest today is the founder of Aces Matter Live, Cindy Stanford.
Hey,
how are you today?
I am trying to stay out of trouble.
Boy, that's the best thing to be. That's the best thing to do, stay out of trouble.
Yeah, so a great inspiring word. You know, I'm glad to be here. I know this is not easy to talk about, so I appreciate you just like acknowledging that, hey, we might say something that might touch a nerve. So yes. I'm glad that you put it out there. But what's helpful for me too in this situation, Mike, is that you dropped that Romans 12:2, renew your mind. Something that I read recently was saying that if you start to notice that you're triggered by something, that's where your healing needs to start. So if something is triggering you, that's kind of like a symptom of where we should go if something is bothering us. So thank you for that inspiring word of encouragement.
Yes. And I just going to go on and say right now, today is going to be a special show because I am going to be the one interviewed today.
I'm stealing your microphone. I'm stealing your microphone.
You're taking my microphone. I guess I'll let you have it for a few minutes. I guess as long as you give it back to me.
I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give it back to you. But I said, you know what? I want to interview Michael. I had a chance to listen to your podcast that you did with Motivate with KO, Katina, back in September.
Yes.
Well, you dropped some gems on there. Like, you know, it's one thing for us to like be in our own world, you know, navigating the stuff that we just have to navigate as adults. But it sounded like from that interview you did with Motivate with KO that you've got a pocket of understanding some stuff about ACEs that can be explained in a way that the layman person could understand. So, you know, you taking the stuff that you've learned about ACEs and the science and listening to you on that interview, you broke it down where I could literally have this conversation with somebody I grew up with that ain't, you know, got an education degree past high school. So I really appreciated listening to you do that interview with Katina because I felt like that's something that our audience needs to hear. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad. And, you know, I whenever I speak about anything, that's why I even say about my preaching. If I can't break it down to anybody can understand it, I haven't done my job.
There you go.
So I need to know it myself first in a way. That was one thing that was always taught to us as a preacher while I was in school. When you're learning something, you need to learn it in your own words and just don't reverbicate it or have it pronounced. But you know, I can't.
Yeah. You're all right. Look, them big old words.
Put it back out there in their words. I need to learn it in a way that I can put it out in my words. And I'm just a simple person. Since I'm not one of them highly educated people, then I'm going to put it out, but I want to speak it in a way that everybody can understand it.
I can dig it. Keep it simple. One of my old time friends used to say it's the KISS method. And he would go, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
He said, okay, we're going. So, well, thank you for letting me take the microphone from you, because obviously I get a chance to be behind the camera and see you doing all the amazing interviews. You had an amazing interview last a couple weeks ago with your wife,
Yes.
who happens to be a fitness trainer. And so you were even able to take what you understood about ACEs and merge it into one of the things that we know helps people overcome ACEs, which is the physical fitness part of it. And so your wife was able to drop some gems a couple of weeks ago. So that show was really inspiring. But I'm about to put you in the hot seat. You've been putting everybody else in the hot seat. You ready to be in the hot seat?
I'm ready.
So I'm going to do you like you do all your guests. Is there a particular zip code that you want to dedicate this conversation to? Because you're kind of, even though you're a reacher, having these conversations also makes you a zip code hero, because this conversation gets dedicated to a zip code who could benefit from having this information. So can you think of a zip code you want to shout out?
My zip code is 38801. That's
right.
That's the zip code I want to shout out today. That's where I live. That's where I serve. And so and I got surrounding zip codes, but that's the zip code I want to shout out.
All right. All right. And then audience, if y'all are listening to this, y'all already heard Michael drop 38801, which is Tupelo. I'm going to get that right. Tupelo, Mississippi. For the audience members that are watching, please be so kind and drop some zip codes in the comments so we'll know where people are tuning in from, because communities are the ones who are going to be able to help address these things called ACEs. So we're going to take the bull by the horns and we're going to show some love to Tupelo, Mississippi, 38801.
And can I just add something to that?
Yes, I'm going to pass you the mic back, but go ahead.
No, I just want to add, I say at the top of the show, this is a conversation. We just don't want to have a conversation between the two of us. Put some conversate, whatever, ideas, whatever you want to say, put them down there too. Don't put your zip code down there. Maybe you need some help. Maybe you want to talk about it. That's, we'll conversate with you also in the comments. So, okay, please. You go ahead.
No, I like that. So if y'all watching, drop some comments, ask us some questions, because our brains are about to explode with this information. We got to get it out here. Our motto at ACEs Matter is to leave a place better than we found it. And for me, I'm in the third quarter of my life. So, God's will, right? I'm in the third quarter of my life. So y'all drop us some comments, ask us some questions, because we want to share what we're learning. We know that is the only way to get people to a place where they can start to understand how things even got this way. So yeah, I'm with Michael. I endorse that, Michael. All right. So I'm going to start off easy. The first thing I want to know before I get into these heavy questions, I want to know from you, what was the last time, when was the last time you danced until your legs start hurting? When was the last time you danced until your legs start hurting? And then can you remember a song that just makes you super excited and just feel like a kid again?
Well, first of all, I don't dance, so
come on, everybody. Look, I'm black, and I ain't never learned how to dance. But if a song come on, and ain't nobody in the room with me. I'm just saying.
Well, I was told that I love music. I can't sing. I try to sing, but it's just so many. There's one song. If you're in the church, especially older people, there's a song that says that the name of it is "I Won't Complain." Okay. Yes, a lot of people may not know it, but it's and the songwriter says, "I had some good days, I've had some bad days. I've been almost leveled to the ground, but still, I won't complain." And I'm getting to point in my life now that I've been through so much. I still have bad days, but I'm to the point in my life now. I'm getting to the point where I'm not going to complain. I'm going to rejoice in it. God brought me this far, so I'm going to rejoice in whatever.
Preach. This is what we do. We in my former school days, if we agreed with something, we would do this, and now we call it shaking the tambourine. Woo! We shaking the tambourine. That means we agree. All right. Okay. So it was called "I Can't Complain" or "I Won't Complain."
I won't complain.
Okay, you're going to have me looking that up, because it does something to us. And again, what good does it do to complain? There's even some research in our big old brains that says complaining basically does something to your brain to send you down this depressive spiral. So don't do your brain like that. We ain't got but one. So what good does it do?
All right. I could go into the neuroscience with that, but we don't have enough time, because I love neuroscience. I merged neuroscience and my learning of ACEs. But I won't go down that rabbit hole today.
We're going to save that. We're going to save that. Okay. But let me do this. Speaking of the stuff that you've been studying, I know that you are a certified ACE coach. That means you studied this extensively, trying to put it in your own words. You got your certification to go out and teach other people what you're learning about it. You're also an endorsed ACEs Matter reacher, meaning you reach for people who want to hear about this stuff so that they can, become better people and parents. You also founded a business called ER for Traumatized Children.
Correct.
Is that correct? Can you tell us, what did you mean by ER? Because when I saw it, I was like, emergency room? But I kind of didn't get it. So tell me what ER for Traumatized Children is about.
ER stands for Emotional Rehabilitation for Traumatized Children. And I took that because if you look at my logo, it has a brain in it with the heart symbol on that machine that goes through it. And it's life. It's telling you when the person's still living. So that plus the ER stands for emergency room. And so I put all that together to say I want to bring life back to our hurt children.
That's deep. Emotional rehabilitation. That is so deep. Like, and today's show topic is about surviving an emotionally abusive childhood. So how many adults do we have that are being what I want to say is, how many adults do we now have that need to heal from their childhood? Right. So emotional rehabilitation for children is to catch it early enough so that they don't become adults who need to heal from their childhood. That's deep. And your husband, your father.
Yes.
Yeah. You're also a minister. You've done some preaching work in the church. You just got it going on, all like left and right. You don't look like what you've been through.
I don't, but some days I feel like it, but I don't look, I may not look like it, but some days I feel like it. Yes, I was a pastor at one time. Now I am an associate minister. I've been in the ministry now. This year makes 21 years.
Nice. Yes. Thank you. People like to say thank you for your service to military members. I say thank you for your service behind the pulpit because I know y'all be hearing a lot of stuff that
we do.
Only God can judge me, So here we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, when I was a pastor, I was still dealing with myself, and so I was healing other people while I was still hurt. So that made it even harder. Somebody may say, "Well, you're a pastor, you shouldn't be like." Well, yeah, I was hurting, and a lot of people didn't know that I was in that spot. And the more I did it, the more I would ask God, why do you have me continue to teach and preach your blessing and what you're going to do and your heal? And I feel like this, and I don't even feel worthy sometimes on things that I'm preaching. I don't even believe that you're going to do it for me. And all he would say was, keep doing it. And so I kept doing it.
So it's like you had to sit still and listen, huh?
Yes. Even though I was hurting, I kept on.
That reminded me of something that I read called compassion fatigue. Like, you constantly trying to help and heal other people, and then you end up making yourself fatigue from just constantly being on the front lines trying to help other people with their struggles.
And that's what happened to me when I came. Eventually, the panic attacks came, suicidal thoughts came, and at first I pinned it to one thing, but then as I look back at it, it was everything. It was like that was, as they say, the how they say it, the straw that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that's how you say it. But that was it. It wasn't just that one episode, that one event, but it was just I had just taken all I could take, and I was drained. I had given all I could give, and people still wanted to take. That's when you find your real friends. When you can't give no more.
When you can't give no more. So, like you said, a lot of stuff in the opening that I know we don't have time to get to everything, but I know in your interview back in September, you quoted something that I thought was super inspiring. It's like something that every person on this planet needs to understand, which was, instead of saying what's wrong with you, we should be asking people what happened.
What happened to you, right?
What happened to you? So, I don't want to go too far down like a dark and gloomy, path, because obviously everybody's story is different. But I'm curious to know, like, do you have any fond memories of your childhood?
And this thing I do have some fond memories, but it seemed like sometimes the negative ones overweigh the fun ones, the good ones.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because today's topic is about overcoming an emotionally abusive childhood. And what we know, not to get too far down in the brain, there is a part of the brain that I like to refer to as the bookshelf. The bookshelf. So our brains, just so for people listening, are just like our computers. Like computers are designed based on how our brains work, right? So you got the motherboard, inside of your computer. And I like to think of our brains as like the motherboard. It is the operating system. And so when we ask people what happened to you instead of what's wrong with you, and for you to say you have some fond memories of childhood, but most of them are overshadowed by the negative stuff, that means some stuff was put on your bookshelf inside your motherboard. The scientists call it the hippocampus in the brain. But it's basically where stuff that was programmed into you as a child, whether it was, you're not going to be nothing, you're going to be just like your daddy, whatever those negative things were, it sounds like your brain took those thoughts just like a book, and it sat them on the bookshelf of your hippocampus, and they've been stored. Right. And that led to you as an adult suffering from depression, anxiety attacks.
That's right.
Speak on that.
Go back to my love of neuroscience. As children being told that, as you said, it sits on your hippocampus and become like a bookshelf. It programs your brain to become the person that that they have labeled you to be. If somebody start telling a child that you'll never be nobody, or you stupid, or whatever it may be, or you'll never get married, you ugly, whatever it is, then your brain only knows what you put in it or what you allow into it. And so that becomes your brain reality. So you become, as a child, you start becoming the person that they tell you are. And so as a child, especially from ages 0 to 6 or 7, you're like a sponge. And you're soaking all that in from 0 to 7. That's the prime ages where you're being programmed to who you're going to become as an adult. And so when your parents or whoever, it doesn't have to be your parents, starts telling the person this, young child is, so if they never healed as an adult, they are now that person that they was told that they were going to become.
Speaking of programming, I'm going to disclose something about myself. And then if you're willing, I would love to know what was something that was programmed, written onto your motherboard growing up that is still kind of creeps up a little bit here and there as an adult. So something that was programmed into me growing up early, it was a trifecta. It was you skinny, bald-headed, and black. That's what I remember. I remember that like it ain't nothing, right? I was skinny, I was bald-headed, and I was black. When I say black, like not Wesley Snipes dark, but I was pretty dark as a child. I was darker than my sibling. I was darker than my siblings and some of my cousins because my grandfather was half white. So some of them got fairer skin than I did. So anyhow, that was something that I basically understood to be true growing up. And I hated that about myself to the point where I would bleach my skin. When I was a little girl, I would put on a shirt, like a t-shirt. I would put it over my head to make my hair look long, right? So that was ways I was trying to compensate from this stuff that was programmed into me as a child. So do you recall some specific things that you were told by an adult when you were a child that maybe still tries to creep up now and again?
Yeah, I was told that a lot that I would never be nobody. I would never become anybody in life. You know, I was talked about because of you was skinny. I was big. I grew up big. So I was talked about for being big and, you know, and stuff like that. And so what happened there, especially when you told, you know, we talking about verbal abuse and emotional abuse, it all ties together. So if you tell somebody start telling somebody as a child that you'll never be anybody, we just take that one for that you'll never be anybody, or it talked about how they look. So let's talk about the one you'll never be anybody. As you become an adult, neuroscience says that when we get up in the morning, that our brain is just it just holds memory. 95% of our thoughts each day are memories. Only 5% are new thoughts every day. So if you've been told that you'll never be anybody, so you get up that morning and you say, well, I want to go do something different today. That's that 5%. But then as you start doing it, that 95% kicks in and says, why are you even doing this? You know you'll never be anybody. You're stupid. You're ugly. You're fat. You're skinny. Why are you doing this? You know you can't do this. You know, we'll say, well, you know, that was my thoughts were telling me you was right. That 95% of your thoughts that you was put into your mind, it creeps in every time you try to do something and stop you from doing it. If you were told that you was ugly, fat, skinny, now you're grown and you don't understand why you can't find a mate or a spouse. And every time you get in a relationship and they start telling you, I love you, you would do something dumb and mess it up. Well, why? That 5% says, yes, I want love. You get in a relationship, a good relationship. Then that 95% that you didn't hear from kicks in and say, well, you dumb. You fat, you skinny, you're ugly, you're black. Why are you even in this? You don't deserve love. You can't love. So here I go. I mess up. I do something. And then we'll step back and say, well, why did I do that? That 95% of the things you was told as a child has come in because you didn't hear from it.
And now you're beating yourself up. You find yourself beating yourself up because you're not aware that something was programmed into your motherboard as a child. And as you were talking, Michael, you remember the movie Titanic? Did you ever see it?
I did.
As you were talking, the image that came to mind is like right before that boat crashes or the ship crashes. You know, they could see what was on top, right? And they thought they could get around it. it made me think about what they couldn't see, which was what the scientists people would call those subconscious thoughts. So those things that you were referring to as memories were programmed into our motherboard, stored on the hippocampus, the shell. And it's the things that we can't see, which like in the Titanic, they couldn't see what was underwater. That reminded me of like subconsciously, those thoughts are trying to keep those 5% of positive thoughts from overshadowing them, if you will, because it's kind of like stuck in there. That's what came to mind when you talked about that. That's deep. Wow.
And something else you said, sometimes we don't even know what's going on. And we don't. When I first started trying to heal, when I realized that I had to do something, I had gotten into a victim mentality. You know, where I would have been farther in life if they wouldn't have did this or they wouldn't have done that, because I didn't know what was going on. And I actually realized that I needed to do something in my life the night that my wife, and this is why on my last episode, why I say that, you know, she's brought me so far. And this has been about 5 years ago. So I want to let it known that healing doesn't come overnight. It's something you got to work on. So we were going through some financial times, some dealing times. I would say some dealing times. And I was going on where they did this and they did that. I didn't realize what I was doing. And she told me, I guess she got fed up because she's the type of person that will know when to love on you, but know when to give you hard love. And she told me that you are an adult now. It's your choice what you make out of your life. It's your choice if you allow people to keep hurting you, using you. It's your choice. And after I got over being mad at her, I agreed with her and I realized, yes, it is my choice. So that's when I started healing myself. It was later on as I started researching, because I knew that I had to change myself. And I started doing research and studying, and that's when I came into neuroscience. And then later after neuroscience, it's when I came into ACEs. That's why I love neuroscience so much, because I found neuroscience first. And that's when I originally started healing myself with neuroscience. Then I got ACEs and I added that to it. And then when I found ACEs, I realized that it's not me. It wasn't me. I am worthy. You know, I cannot be the person that I was labeled to be. It's not me. And once I realized it wasn't me, it was like a burden lifted off of me. Yes.
You know what? You come in full circle, Michael. You started us off with Romans 12:2, renew your mind. And as you said that, how your wife so calmly addressed whatever you were going through at that time, you just helped us realize that without a renewed mind, you couldn't have heard what your wife said.
Could not.
You probably would, you know what, it's you, not me, what they call narcissism or gaslighting, right?
Yeah.
Like it takes a renewed mind to sit on feedback that somebody gives you and come back and say, you know what, you know what, if that is your perception, I kind of sense it too. I want to address that. Okay. So any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave before we check out? Because I took the microphone from you today. So I enjoyed it. I know we could go on and on and on, but why don't you close us out, and any closing thoughts that you want the audience to hear, and then we'll go ahead and log off.
Well, the only thing I would like to say is to end up the show today, this topic, that whatever was told to you that's not of God, it was a trick of the devil, and he lied to you. He lied to you because he did not want you to carry out your purpose in life. So please remember that you are not. If they told you something any different from who God created you to be and who God told you are, it's a lie. And you can, no matter what they say, you can become who God created you to be. Thank you for joining us for another Aces Matter Live. As we get ready to leave you for today, I want to thank you, Sydney, for coming on and taking the mic today and interviewing me and allowing me to share my story today. And I want to urge everybody to go on acesmatter.org and get your ACEs score. And get your ACEs score. That could help you. And another one that I say that she didn't bring up today is, if you help one, you help a generation. So get your score today and get educated on yourself. And you won't just be helping yourself. You will be helping generations to come. So I thank you, Cindy, for coming on today. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, go down and comment down below. Have a conversation with us, because we, as Cindy said, we have so much, and we we need to get it out. We need to get ACEs out as far as we can, because ACEs Matter is on a mission to have every community and every home talking and doing something about ACEs. And I cannot close out without giving you this. Aces Battle Live is a charitable organization and education that's educating the world on ACEs. But to continue to bring this good information, we need your help. Go to acesmatter.org right now and hit that donation button. And even if you can only give $5, we would surely appreciate it. So, whatever you can give, we surely appreciate it. So, be watching out for me for the next fourth Friday when I come on. But not only me, watch out for all the reachers. We come on throughout the month, throughout the week. And I will see you on the next episode.
What would have life been like for you if you could have skipped childhood? If you could help people be better, healthier adults, would you? Truth is, the fact that every person on earth had to experience childhood is enough to care about the ACEs Matter cause. ACEs are so common that 1 in every 6 people have been exposed. Average childhood experiences, aka ACEs, are like time capsules of a traumatic past and a looking glass into a blurry future. ACEs are one of the root causes to poor employee performance, mental illness, crime, disease, and even poor quality of life, just to name a few. According to the CDC, 8 out of the 10 leading causes of death in the US correlate with the exposure to 4 or more ACEs. If they can be predicted, they can be prevented. ACEs Matter is on a mission to stop generational cycles of ACEs, and you can help by starting a campaign or making a small tax-deductible donation. You can help 1 million families get the support that they need to treat and heal from childhood adversities that have affected their adulthoods. We want to hire, train, and deploy 250 community influencers by the end of 2025. Our goal is to raise $1.3 million in order to begin with operations for this initiative. Donations would go towards mobile deployment of trained trauma professionals, community outreach, and door-to-door awareness. Get involved, see the results, save a life, and repeat. Visit acesmatter.org to learn more. Let's be real, we need to heal.